All right, it's midnight. I'm getting back to my Frank Quietly piece. Turn the music down a little. All right. I don't even know if you guys can hear the music, but it helps me. All right, so end of the day. I started the day with a live warm up and looking at stuff to inspire me for the day when I got a message from Cody from the Comes Naturally podcast, who also does his own podcast called Cody the Awesome. And I had forgotten that we had scheduled today to do a chat, so I had to cut this morning's live stream short. But now we're rocking on the night live stream. Finished a page for DC earlier. I still have a little more actually I want to do on it, but I like to take a midnight break and work on my own thing. And last night we were doing nib on all of this, but I have a real good brush hand going today, so I want to play with the brush a little. All right. Let's see. I really want to get to Beast Boy's hair, but we'll warm up and get there. Start with these small lines, a little bit of rendering on the arm here. If you can hear the music, it's a band called My Superhero from Orange County, California. These seams on the glove. I'm just doing little, either really thin lines or really short lines for now. As I get my vibe on the piece, we'll do heavier and longer lines. And you'll always hear me make sports analogies with this stuff. So it's just like an athlete. When you start on something, you don't just play a full game. You go out and you warm up, you stretch out, you get the lay of the land, if you will. Looks like he was doing these thin little lines to indicate shadow there, but not black shadow. The colorist will go in and darken that. If we were getting a colorist on this. All right, I think this is a seam from Kid Flash's costume there. He's got this piping, not a seam, piping going on there. The little tubes going around on people's costumes, that's called piping. Just in case you were wondering why I was using that word. All right, so do the piping on this sleeve here. Give it a little bit of organic bends and folds there. And he's got these going on here, little renders going on the bicep into the tricep there, or into the forearm there. I don't really like the nib lines I did here last night. You guys probably can't even see it on film, but they're a little too stiff looking. They don't look quite as much like fur as I want them to. So Beast Boy's a little furry here, I take it, so I don't want these to be too clean. We want them kind of, they're in a pattern, but hair tends to open up and close. Or bunch up and then open up. Plus, it's okay to mess up because this is just for fun. It doesn't matter. we'll do more of this piping. So when I go really thin, I keep the brush as upright as possible so that you're really only letting the longest hairs hit the paper. And you can bear down a little to get a little more weight in the line for the underside of the piping. And I'll spin it around. Do the heavy side first and then do the light side. Keep that heavy going on into here. And we'll break the line on top there a little on the light side. All right, that's looking okay. Let's do the indentation here on the spine, or on the back where it's concave for the spine. And then we have these wrinkles in his uniform coming from under the armpit there. And then here we have the edge of Flash's costume pushing up against that. All right, it's going good. It's going good. We're almost ready for Beast Boy's hair. That's really what I want to get to tonight. It's got some really nice forms in it. I'll try to bring it up here for you. You can see the nice forms he's created. There's the shadow here, because, well, actually it's going to be like this. So there's our shadows here. And you can see the light hitting the high points as it wraps around, and shadowed again where the hair meets the head. Really great hair structure here. Frank really knows what he's doing, and it really calls for brush. So I'm excited to get in there. All right, dipping the brush off camera. You can't see that exciting stuff going on. Maybe I should get a special camera that's just for the ink jar. Maybe not. All right, sharpening the brush off camera. I want to clean up the Flash's torso here a little. I think I'm gonna end up bolding up a lot of stuff. I want to soften up some of the contours. Like I said on the first video of this, I tend to be more angular than Frank. And you'd think after working over Trevor all these years, I'd soften up a little, because Trevor has a soft line, but they're not quite the same. I used to love when Frank would ink himself with a nib. He's still my favorite artist, even though he doesn't ink himself anymore, or use ink at all. All right, yeah, this is looking okay. I'm not hating this. I just keep wanting to make things bolder, the things I've already done bolder. Beef it up. All right, let's see, we're gonna work on her glove for a minute. There's a seam that runs along here, and then there's little wrinkles. You can probably barely see them in the film. They're really light blue. I can barely see them here in real life. So I'm gonna do his little squiggle wrinkles first. Just go back and forth with just the tip of the brush. They don't really look like anything yet. But then the seam for this glove comes from under the elbow here We're going to do like a sweeping line with the brush. So I'm moving my elbow and just a nice clean line there, nice clean line there. Doot, really thin. Might be too thin. Oh well. Went off a little. So let's see. How do we fix that? We got a stray line. I don't know if you can see that. Let's zoom in. Right here, the line went stray. That happens sometimes, especially when I'm tired. So we'll go in with the jelly roll pen. So what I like to do is to make sure there's no gunk on the end. I'll do a run on my finger first, and not the part of your finger that touches the paper. The tips of your finger touch the paper. So do it up here, do it somewhere. Get it cleaned off, and then go in, do a nice little cleanup like that. And if you don't get it on the first try, let it dry up a little and go in again. All right, zoom back out. So, blah, 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 where were we? All right, let's get back to Raven here. So I forget the name of the muscles, but we've got the shadow and rendering here for this part of the muscle in the forearm, where the forearm connects to the upper part of the arm. Comes down from the bicep, wraps around here. So let's see, I'm gonna do these heavier ones first, and then I'm gonna do some thinner ones out of that. Thin little lines, kind of like Kirby lines here. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Spin the board. Constantly spinning the board. Let's see, let's make this 3 lines. No, 2 lines. We did that in 2. See, it's too angular. It's the top of her long gloves. It's too angular. Oh well, we'll leave it for now. All right, what is that? Oh, that's her cape bunching up under. Wow, Frank's really good. Thinks of everything. He's not scared of anything. He's a really brave artist. He doesn't shy away from doing anything. And it's good to ink people like that. You know, just like we did on the glove, we're gonna do the wrinkles first. Down the side, the folds in the clothes, and then we'll do the seam around those. Have it fold and bend around the wrinkles and folds. Wrinkles and folds and bends, whatever. All right, let's try to go a little less angular on things. All right, I got a good hand going, so I want to do these little brush renders on her torso, on her chest and torso. He went really wispy with the pencil, so I kind of want to be the same with the inks. It's representing a change in light around the figure. So you don't really want it to be heavy lines. These thinner lines hint at transition better. So he's describing light and figure here. That's what a good figure artist does. Okay, and we've got these folds here. I'm feeling so angular. I just want to do choppy lines. We gotta smooth it up here. And even though he's never gonna see this, you know, I still want it to look its best. We overshot there a little, but we can clean that up. But we can also wait to see if we need to clean it up, since we're going to be doing Deathstroke's mask there. I think I'm almost ready for some of this Beast Boy hair. Warming up, warming up. Looks like we got a couple people hanging out. What's up, anybody? All right, I am doing some of the hair. I'm going for it. I'm gonna go nice and slow. And actually, I don't like this approach already. I think I want to come around from this side. Years ago, when I was working on the darkness for Top Cow, I spent 3 months just trying to be, or 3 months trying to be as good as I could at inking hair. Because especially at Top Cow, those guys do the characters with, you know, all these locks and flowing hair, and like every cover and every panel has all these, you know, beautiful women with these just giant flowing locks of hair. And you can't screw that up. Those guys spend a lot of time on the pencils, and you got to make it look good in the inks. And I was coming in after Bat and Joe Weems had been inking there, so I had to really learn to step up my game. So I spent a lot of time practicing hair, and it's still a nemesis to me. It still takes a lot of effort for me to get it the way I want it. I'm lucky I work with some pencilers that really know how to draw good hair. I've been extremely lucky in that sense. I've learned how to ink more from the pencilers I've worked with than almost anything else. All right, it's looking pretty good so far. Looking pretty good so far. Just got to make sure I follow what he's already put in place. I trace it, then I erase it. That's what we do. Although you don't erase blue line, but I still like to say that. People get mad at me for calling it tracing. I think it's funny. All right, here as the hair comes around to the top of his head, or from the top of his head, and hits this high point where it's arching. I want to make sure to get nice and thin and wispy again there. Excuse me. And then what we've already established, these lines, he's already got it there. And we want to follow through on the curves we've already made. So like this chunk of hair comes around here, and we'll just follow through. Even if the lines don't meet, there's still follow through. And I'll blacken that in a little as we come down here into the shadows. And there's this form here, this flash arm, Kid Flash arm. And you know, he's got this black chunk. It's always cool in comics to, or not cool, but it's good to put black chunks if you can work into the composition behind a chunk of something that's predominantly white. It helps it pop. All right. And now that I've done this chunk of hair, I'm really warmed up and ready to do hair. And there's only, Robin's hair left, Superboy's hair. Donna's hair there's not much there. Superboy's hair. I guess there's the Flash hair, Kid Wally's hair. But still, there's not much to that one, so maybe we'll do it. And these are just little wrist flicks. And while we're here, we'll finish the Flash arm. All right, so I'm saving Robin for last. I probably won't get to him for, another day or two at the rate this is going. Let's get another look at what we're working on here. All right, passed out Beast Boy. Looks like I need to clean up a little on his lip since I was using the nib in his mouth there. Let's go ahead and do that. Break out the Sakura jelly roll again. Once again, test it, make sure there's no white gunk on the end, dried up chunks. And I'll go in and just gently sweep over the area, and it will lay down white ink, and you can kind of lightly push it around without digging into the paper. You don't want to push hard with these. You want to lightly just kind of manipulate the ink it gives you. They're pretty sweet. When I used to do a lot of conventions, Sakura would go around and hand out a bunch of things to artists and artists in Artist Alley for free. It was fun, and that's where I first found those. I used to work in an art store years and years ago, in like the early 2000s, and they didn't have those then. And actually, that art store, that's how I got into comics. That's where I met Danny Mickey. He came in as a customer. I should probably save that story for when I'm showing Spawn art or something like that. But since it came up, yeah, and that's how that happened. I was working at an art store, and Danny Mickey came in, and we got to talking, and I started going over to his studio a couple months later, and then I joined Crime Lab Studios, and then I left Crime Lab Studios, and now I'm still friends with Crime Lab Studios. But I think right now he's calling himself like Applied Inking Division, the Wayne Industries Applied Inking Division. He used to call his studio Crime Lab. I do these little folds that I can barely see. All right, so the hair's coming out good. I keep wanting to add more black. Just a little more. We don't want to get too heavy on these higher parts. All right, that's got a nice naturalness to it. Let's see, let's do a little Superboy's arm here. All right, we'll go bold on here because this is all gonna be black. So we go nice and clean on that bicep, and a little bit sharp where it tucks in. And we want to lock this in. That's going to be black. But we want to make sure when we block in the black shape that you're following the forms of the body. So here we've got the pec comes in, and then I forget this muscle underneath here, but you know, we'll follow the rib cage around there, and then we'll do these bleeds in a little bit. Right now I kind of want to do these folds. And then here we have the stitching again, where the sleeve meets the body of the shirt. Because everything has dimension and texture in a Frank Quitely piece. I still almost feel like I should go around and do the contours with like, oh sorry, I stay in frame. I should go around and do the contours with like a marker. I just feel like a soft, dead weight around those would work good. Let's see if we got a Copic here or a Pit pen. Don't use those that often, but I've got a bunch here. Let me see if I have the right size. Hey, you know what? Let's try this. I was given these Prismacolor ones to test out by an art rep. I'm just gonna go for it. All right, we're gonna start on is it Lady Deathstroke's glove here? Yeah, I think this might work okay. So I'm just gonna focus on her contour. I know I said in the previous video I like to work from the faces out when I work over blue lines like this, but since I'm just testing this pen out, I wanna go ahead and do this stuff first. So you can do your thick outlines like that. These scales will be fun. Scales look intimidating. They look harder to do than they actually are. There's some tricks to drawing them, and I think they're fun to ink. I like anything with sort of meditative patterns. It sucks when you're dealing with a deadline for it, but other than that, it's okay. So let's go with a thin marker now to do some of these interior lines. So let's see. Maybe marker is the way to do a lot of this stuff on Frank. Let's go and do some knuckles. Let's see. Yeah, I don't ink that much with markers these days. I used to do it a lot in my sketchbook, but in my sketchbook I either just leave stuff in pencil now or go in with brush or brush marker. I kind of forget that they make markers so nice now. When I started out, microns weren't that great, and that was kind of the only felt tip marker like that was affordable and handy and convenient to get. But I don't know, I didn't really like inking with them that much unless I had to. They had their place. I used them a lot in backgrounds and things like that. But, okay, let's see. I've got a few more minutes put in on this one. Hey, Dave. I just now saw your what's up. What's up if you're still there? Hey, other homies. Let's see, we've got a few people in there now. I've just been rambling. Whether there were people there or not. Because that happens anyways. I ramble while I'm here alone working, whether there's a camera here or not. All right, as long as people are sticking around, I'll keep doing a little more. Let's see, I'm gonna let this dry a little. Let's take a look at Robin again. Like I said in the last video, I don't like a faux hawk, but Frank did such a good job drawing it. I had to go in and fix a little just to make sure it's clear for me when I ink it. But he did such nice layers. Look at that angry little face. Dude, James Lee Stone, what's up, bro? I'm assuming you hopped over from the Instagram. Dude, you're inspiring, man. You guys get so much work done, and you guys look like you have so much fun, you and your friends. It's awesome. Your Instagram posts are great, bro. Yeah, your stuff comes up, and I'm like, all right, cool. I feel like making comics. These guys are having a lot of fun making comics. I want to have fun making comics too. And I love your style, bro. You have great style. The way you block in those black shapes, it's really great. All right, so the brush is going pretty good. I think I can get some thin bleeds here. All right, not as thin as I want, so we're gonna come back. Let's see. And making James blush. Sorry, James. That's what I do. So, okay, so in the previous video, I had said this board had gotten old. It's been in the drawer for a long time, and it's a little more fibrous. So in the few minutes since I used that marker, that Prismacolor marker, and then the Copic marker, where I used it, you probably can't see it on film. I guarantee you won't be able to see it. But it's started to feather out more. So the lines aren't as clean as I'd like them to be. So in print, it wouldn't matter. And if I was inking this at full 11 by 17 and then reduced it, it probably wouldn't matter that much. But when you're sitting here looking at it, you're like, oh man, those lines are clean, and now they're bleeding out in weird spots. But we'll get to that. We'll fix that. All right, I really want to get in here and do these bleeds, but all right, the brush is too wet. I already decided that. All right, let's just do some short, jump around and do some short lines, get some of this ink off the brush. So a lot of times in inking, I work across the board, like any of the lines kind of in this direction, I'll hit and sort of move across and find a pattern. Then you let it dry and you kind of like restart the pattern from a different angle. Just go through and beef these up. Hit her arm there. All right, so this is an interesting spot here where Kid Flash's chest meets Deathstroke's arm. Let's see, we're gonna go thin and then thicker there. And where that space is, that sort of indicates where they're pushing against each other, and then her arm kind of drops behind his pec there. Man, I bet Frank took a while working this out. All these bodies. I bet they were light boxed a bunch of sheets of paper. He's very methodical and very thoughtful. I bet he even worked out like what characters we don't see. Oh no, that's the whole team. Still, his boot comes down, he's standing on Beast Boy's back, like everything works. Who knows, maybe he piled up a bunch of his friends and took a photo as reference photo. Bunch of drunk dudes at the pub, piled them up. Everyone posed for my Psycho Robin picture. Everyone pose for my Psycho Robin figure. I can't do a Scottish accent. Gotta try though, right? All right, so what did I want to do? I want to do these bleeds that go in on Superboy's arm here. So I created that black shape going around, but I almost want that black shape to disappear in these where my bleeds meet. So I'm making these little black triangles that create little white triangles going in. So that line we made here and here kind of disappears. It's you soften the transition. That's what you're doing there. Yeah, try to focus there if we can. So even though I've created this shape here, I'm gonna make this shape disappear when I do the bleeds that come into that. And sometimes you can do that with cross-hatching. Here, let me, allow me to demonstrate. So let's see, what were we doing? The bleeds, so you've got Superboy's arm. I'm gonna do thick lines here just so you can see everything. So here's his arm, here's his shirt, and the shadow was here. But let's say it had a little bump there and a little bump there. So we made that shape. And now we want to make that shape disappear in the bleed. Let me dry this so I can put my hand over it without smudging too much. So we'll load up the brush nice and heavy since this is for a demonstration. So we made the shadow shape, but then you can make it disappear by doing your bleeds so that they meet. So you're making these little white triangles with your black triangles, or arrow tips, or whatever you want to, however you want to say it. But I still, oh, I messed that one up, but here we go. And where I had the shape go up, I'll have the bleeds go up. Where I had the shape go down, we'll have it go down again. And you see, I didn't quite make these ones perfect, so you can always go back in and thicken up a little so that it's white triangles going that direction and black triangles going that direction. And you'll see some artists are really good at that, like Charles Burns, Mike Allred. Some guys are, Mick Gray is great at that. He doesn't get an opportunity to do it that much with the artists that he inks, but some of his personal work and some of his Promethea covers that I've seen were fantastic. But you can also go in and go from the tip of one down across to the other. Let's see, how do I explain this? Basically, just go across like that to hatch if you want to make another transition. And you would take from one point of the black down to skip a point of the white. And that's how you get like that 45-degree hatch. And that's a little cross-hatching lesson for you. Cross-hatching. I'm not the best cross-hatching teacher. If you go over and check out Richard Friend's channel, his YouTube channel, oh, it's great. He's got all kinds of great tips on there. I was going through and looking at what he had, and he's done so much. I'm like, I don't have to do video on this. He's done it. I'll just send people there. So I'm trying to figure out doing videos that are sort of all about me. Not all about me, but my point of view, my perspective on things. He's handling the fundamentals so well. I'll just tell you guys stories and do demos and stuff. And Richard's, he's such a fantastic inker. I used to go to him at conventions all through my 20s, and he was always so kind and open with techniques and encouraging. He made inking seem like fun, and if you go over to his channel, it's a lot of fun. I don't know if he's Blaster Kid. I know that's what he is on DeviantArt and Twitter. So if you can't find, I'm sure it'll come up. Richard Friend. But yeah, he also goes by Blaster Kid, so it might be that if you want to check him out. And he's been doing a lot lately. Like, I don't know if he's hitting monetization numbers or getting revenue or what, or started to, but he's he's producing a lot. But it's all great stuff. I highly recommend it. I think I say highly recommend too much. I need a new adjective before recommend. Oh man, a bunch of people have been chatting too. Let's see what's up. Hey, not my name. What's up? Sorry, I missed some of James's comments too. All right, so I'm almost ready to do these bleeds. Loaded up the brush again. We've done a hatching demonstration. Let's see. Man, I was only gonna do 20 minutes, but I'm having fun, and as long as people are hanging out. All right. Let's see. Let's do a little more Superboy. Keep the focus down here. Excuse me, down here. We'll get his what is it? The symbol stands for hope. Get his S shapes there. All right, now we can go in and do these bleeds, I think. I'm going kind of heavy on it. I like that. His shirt is black. So you can go kind of heavier on dark colors with shadows and bleeds. Where's rib cage comes up there, we'll meet that. All right. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Well, that's my time for tonight. I got to let that dry, and I got to start winding the studio down, get it cleaned up for tomorrow morning. In the morning, I'll be back. I messed up today, messed up my schedule, but so tomorrow, sometime in the first part of the day, I will be doing my warm-up inking, but also looking at some Silvestri pencils with Joe Weems inks over them for inspiration, for my morning inspiration. So we'll go over that. I don't have a specific time. I'll try to announce something. I know I've just been sort of announcing these a few minutes before I do them, but that's just sort of how I'm rolling right now as I play with this, and it gives me an opportunity to make a video and have it already on YouTube without having to do any editing or anything like that. But we are going to get back to doing other episodes of Page and Print and things like that. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around and hanging out and leaving comments. Take care of yourselves. Eat well, sleep well, be well, all that hippy dippy stuff. I'm out of here. Take care. Later, Dave. Woo! Bye, The Pale. Bye, Jay. Thanks for coming by. Take care, not my name. Rock on.